This is a really prominent mountain, is what you might say if you didn't actually know what prominence was. Topographic prominence is a really important metric when talking about any mountain, and I mention it in almost every single one of my videos. However, there are still many people who are confused about what prominence actually is. Contrary to popular belief, prominence isn't a measure of how high a mountain rises above its surrounding landscape. That's relief. Instead, prominence is a measure of a mountain's summit relative to the elevation of the lowest contour line that completely surrounds it, while having no higher point within it. But what does that actually mean? Well, simply put, prominence is the minimum height that you can climb down from the summit of one mountain before you must start climbing back up a higher mountain. Because prominence is partially dependent on the proximity to a higher mountain, it doesn't always correlate with total elevation. Take Lhotse, for example. Lhotse is the fourth highest mountain on the planet, with an elevation of 27,940 feet. It also has an impressive amount of relief, as it rises roughly 10,000 feet above the valley below it. But despite this, Lhotse only has 2,000 feet of prominence. That's because Mount Everest, the highest mountain on the planet, and obviously a higher point than Lhotse, is located only 1.5 miles away. As a result, you don't need to climb very far down from the summit of Lhotse before you must start climbing back up Mount Everest. On the other hand, we have Mount Greylock in Massachusetts. With an elevation of 3,492 feet, Mount Greylock is more than 4.5 vertical miles lower than Lhotse. But despite being nearly 9 times lower, Mount Greylock has a prominence of 2,463 feet, which makes it almost 500 feet more prominent than Lhotse. That's because the nearest higher point than Mount Greylock is farther away, meaning you have to travel a farther distance down before you're forced to start climbing back up. Now, there are some scenarios where prominence, elevation, and relief are more closely related, and mountains on islands are a good example. If you're descending from the summit of the highest point on a mountain, by definition, you must reach sea level before you start climbing back up a higher point. As a result, in these scenarios, total elevation and prominence are exactly the same. Mauna Kea in Hawaii is a good example of this, as it has both a total elevation and a prominence of 13,803 feet. Comment below if this improved your understanding of topographic prominence, and follow for more geography content.